everyone. Hey, and welcome back to yet another episode of Battle Rap Resume. This is your host, Tom Quee here. Thank you so much for joining me. We're doing something I haven't done in a while on the show, where we review a battle rapper's album, an album that we consider of note, worth investigating. Previously, of course, we've done, C Major's 10,000 Hours, and also Kruger's Lazy EP, both of those with a great friend of the show, Dave, and I'm sure me and Dave are going to do future endeavours as well, but today's a slightly different guest, and before we get into that, I just want to say please follow us, at Battle Rap Resume is the best place you can find us, battlerapresume@gmail.com if you want to get in touch with the show, you want to come on the show, you want to praise me, you want to decry me, you want to decry the show even as well, you can reach us there. iTunes as well, if you want to subscribe to us, best way to get in touch with us there as well. YouTube as well, all these different ways, all these different platforms that you've heard me shill at the start of every single episode. And talking of shilling, patreon.com/battlerapresume if you want to give back to the show, if you want to help us support us, you want to help to pay for my train tickets to events or my Nando's or whatever there is involved in here. That's the best way to support me. We have the Redbubble shop as well if you want to get a sticker or a t-shirt or anything like that. But yeah, very excited to get into this and very excited to get into the guest as well. Mike, how's it going, man?
Hi Tom, how you doing?
Very well to have you on, man. And this is the first time we've spoken properly on air, and the best way to get to know someone. How did you get into battle rap?
Actually, it's similar to probably how quite a lot of people got into it. I got into my first battle I saw was the Mark Wrist Blizzard.
Of course.
Yeah, I remember my sister. She's an English teacher, and she showed me the battle, and I can actually remember getting a bit annoyed at her. Because at the beginning, how they used to put all the adverts for the Don't Flop shop and all that kind of thing. And I remember thinking she showed me a YouTube video full of adverts.
Right.
And then, but after that, I loved it. And then started watching a bit more, got, the Mark Grisp Blizzard battles, and then onto O'Shea and all the other ones. And just following the trails, like people have said a lot on your show so far. I think you just keep heading down the route, don't you? Keep seeing new battles.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Especially, I remember I myself was very similar to you watching the Mark Grisp Blizzard, and there's this kind of tree kind of goes out in front of you, almost like a skills tree in a role playing game, where you see all the different paths. You're like, oh god, Blizzard had all these battles, and Blizzard battled Seuss, and Seuss has all. It's overwhelming almost in the best possible way.
Yeah, definitely, and you realise there's this massive archive, but also that new battles are coming out still, which was great.
It is, and that era as well. I think when a lot of people got in, that really was when Don't Flop was in its peak. It was kind of the best time to get involved with it. And one of the main guys of that era, and the person whose album release we're going to be speaking about today, is Ogmios. I mean, talk about Ogmios the battler. I'm guessing you're a big fan of the guy. Yeah,
I am a big fan of him, and he's actually battled at both of the Don't Flop events that I've been to, which was great to see him live. He was one of the people I was excited to see at both events, and both events he killed it. Right, I think that something amazing is that he's never really choked. He might slow down a bit and make you think that maybe he's losing it, but he just rides it out.
Yeah, And what were the events out of interest?
The events, I don't remember. I think, is it To the Test 10? Is it the last one that they did?
I don't know if Ogmios performed at that one. I think that was maybe a little bit before his time.
Was it, which one somewhere, maybe not To the Test? I think he, was it Real Deal he battled?
Oh, yeah. Real Deal, yeah. Set the Standard. There's so many of these events, yeah. Oh, you were at that event. That was a great event, that was.
That was fantastic, yeah. Really great event.
So, was that, because it was a 2-day event, wasn't it? Was that one or two?
Yeah, I went to the second day. So I saw Shuffle T and Marlowe against Marv1 and Quest.
Holy shit! Yeah, that is
which is great.
Yeah, that's one of their classic performances.
Yeah.
Ogmios was fantastic in that Real Deal. And what was the other one you saw him at?
Was he at the Roundhouse event, the Rappers versus Poets event?
Yes, he battled Farhad. I forget the name. Yeah, but he kind of bodied that. No name. Yeah. And again, Shuffle T and Marlowe were there, weren't they? They were battling.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they battled with. Was it with Harry Baker?
Yeah, Kraft and Harry. I mean, Kraft's good friend of the show, as I always say. I know, but he's a very competitive lad. Is Kraft, and him saying that he won that battle to me, I had to sort of bite my tongue. It was like you kind of got bodied. But as I say, we're here to speak about Ogmios, and you sort of messaged me initially, and we were sort of talking about maybe what we could do here, and I love doing these battle tape episodes. Definitely want to do more and more of them. The last picnic by Ogmios wasn't one I'd really considered. It wasn't one I was too familiar with myself. It's been very fun listening to this and making the notes for it. Was this something that, you've always held in high esteem?
Yeah, well, for me, I think that I bought the album on the strength of the character of, watching Ogmios battles. He's clearly an incredibly talented guy. And I love that he released on hard copy, so I bought the CD. And I think what I love about CDs is I'll put it in my CD player, and then whenever I'm in my room, I'll press play.
Yeah.
Or I'll have it in the car, and every time I get in the car, and it becomes like a theme of my life at that time, because I listened to the album so much at that time. And that really happened with the Ogmios album, so I really got quite a lot into it. And I was doing finals at university at the time, and I think it just really helped me, not help me through it, like it wasn't a super difficult time in my life, but it became almost the soundtrack to what was happening at the time.
Yeah, and I said this with the C major episode as well as the Kruger episode as well. The reason these releases deserve attention is because they're extensions of the character, aren't they? Like, the last picnic is, without kind of spoiling too much before we get into it, it's inextricably Ogmios, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Like,
it's the, the whole stigma behind battle rappers' music. I wonder do we love these albums because we love the characters? We get to know them, and then we get to know this as an extension of the character.
Yeah.
Whereas normally with artists, you don't get that chance of getting to know the person and then hearing their music. You just hear the music and judge them solely on that. Whereas you think about C major, the other Kruger's tape that he did, and Ogmios, they all really reflect their character.
Yeah.
And do you think if you'd heard the music before getting to know the character, you'd hold it with the same prestige that you do?
It's interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Maybe I think for something like 10,000 Hours, I'm quite confident that free of its context, I'd still regard it as kind of a minor masterpiece. Like, I think conceptually and compositionally, it's genius. But I think maybe knowing who Ogmios is and knowing who Kruger are, to draw back to Lazy P, they help a certain formation here. And one of the reasons I love this so much is because Ogmios is such a unique figure. Like, I remember when I had him on the show, and his intro, he played a little, his gong sort of introduced him. He has that sort of mischievous thing. And it was funny because when I was getting sort of making the research for this as well, I was watching a few Ogmios battles, and in his first battle, his tryout against Heavy Duty, he shows the last picnic. Like, he shows it on camera.
Yeah.
And looking on the Bandcamp now, this came out June 1st, 2011. So this is like, more than 6 years old now. And I don't know what else he's done in terms of like concrete releases other than this.
Well, when the album arrived in the post, there's a little handwritten note, from which was quite a nice touch, to be honest. It said that, like, thanks for buying the CD, hope you like it, and look out for a new one coming soon or something.
Oh, right. Oh, what a man. Yeah, there's a few images on the Bandcamp as well, and it's a really nice, it's a nice cover, isn't it? It's kind of like,
it is, yeah.
It's kind of like almost like a Japanese sun, and then Hokusai's wave, and then him just pondering off into the distance.
Yeah, and then on the inside, I don't know if you got the hard copy, but there's a bit more like colours of that type of thing, like the Great Wave, and then it's got like a Lego pirate ship on it, and it's got the mole and the rat, and I think that they've just taken like all the themes from the album and just collaged them all together.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. It works really well because it's all this kind of abstract, these abstract things from different parts of life, I guess, that are all just thrown together, which is a bit like how the album reflects the album quite well, I think.
Yeah. Thematically, the album's it's wonderful, really. I love the sort of soundscape that it inhabits. It's got a very blissful. I'm sure I'm going to say this a lot further. Very Ogmios. It kind of becomes its own adjective to a certain extent. And we get to the first track, What's Inside, which, like a lot of hip hop records, similar to No Feature Film on C Major's one there, we have kind of this slow intro that kind of involves you into it. And I love the piano, that slow, nice beginning piano, which kind of dissolves into the beat. It's very peaceful.
About the title, The Last Picnic, does that mean anything to you, or do you think it sums the album up or anything like that?
Yeah, because it's kind of, I don't know if it's some sort of wider reference. I didn't get that myself. I just, with Ogmios, there is this melding of the mythic, of the mighty, with the certain, the silly, the awareness.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. He has all these mystical things, but at the same time, he's almost poking fun at it.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't take it too seriously, but enjoys, like, playing with the ideas.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing worse in hip hop for me is like self-righteousness or quote unquote conscious rap where it's done kind of unironically. For me, it's almost like The Last Supper, but it's the last picnic. So it's not kind of, it's not kind of, he's not got all the disciples near him. He's just got like a sandwich or something. So
it's perfect, isn't it?
But yeah, I agree. It's a powerful title, and it works well within that context. And I think the whole album ties together well. There's different directions that we go in. There's certain dance hall, there's maybe some boom bap stuff, but it's all underpinned by a very sort of meditative current, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, and like with a few like psychedelic kind of feel to a few of the songs.
And what's inside again? Og, like he can be quite commanding on a track when he wants to be, but on this one he's very sort of in an engaging way, but quite ponderous. Yeah,
definitely. I think that it's like his battling style that a lot of rappers, they think they need to rap fast and hit the beat every time. And Ogmios, he rides the wave of the beat, but he just flows with it. Like, he takes his time. And I think that he does that in all the tracks as well, but this one especially, he just casually brings himself in, doesn't he, and flows with it.
Yeah, and there's such layers as well. Like this, this really is a headphone kind of release. Like, I'm sure, it sounds great on a stereo as well, but just kind of like picking apart this sort of sequencing that's tracking that. And he's got the great lines as well, no doubt. It's not as punchy as his battling. There isn't as many lines that would stick with you kind of like out of context, but even like light up the track like 91 Akabusi, I really like.
I think that another thing that probably we'll talk about a lot in this album is the samples that he throws in. So this one, he starts off with this sample from The Wind and the Willows. And it's almost like, have you seen the Facebook pages No Context Louis Theroux?
Oh, yes, of course, yeah.
So I feel like what he does here so well is he takes these lines and he takes them out of context. So when it comes in, it's like "Woo, stop!" cried the mole.
What's inside? Asked the mole. Cold chicken, replied the rat. Cold tongue, cold ham, cold beef, pickled gherkin, salad, French rolls, cress sandwiches, potted meat, ginger beer, lemonade, soda water. Oh, stop! Cried the mole in ecstasies, intoxicated with the sparkle, the scent, the sound.
In the kids show, The Wind and the Willows, I don't know what's happening at the time, but with this out of context, it kind of takes on that psychedelic and almost adult themes compared to The Wind and the Willows when it's in this track.
And I mean the title as well, the question, what's inside? It's very playful almost. It's kind of asking you to explore with him, and he just sounds fantastic, really in his element, and kind of like if you're envisioning the album cover as a kind of entrance way to this as well, it kind of plays with it. You've got to get the scratches involved to a certain extent, the classic kind of hip hop mode, and it's just pulling us in to this world that he inhabits so well. And I just think he floats on the beat. It's not too decorative. He kind of exists in that space. And the second track, Storm on the Sea, introduces a collab that will be on the entire album, that being Singer Blue. Surges out.
This beat is bona fide. Born to be wild, spat venom in his face and it almost died. Now she loves me in her sleep like a coma bride. Might go inside from microphone aside. I won't be surprised if I'm done for beat murder. They took my beat wife, they can't hurt me further. Send me to the jail for the third degree burner. Electrotherapy, brain circuitry inverter. Sounds like it's not afraid to switch up. It's alright, blood is not blood, it's ketchup. Spot them seeds mashed up by the bangers in their grub. Garb splashed by the flash flood in the flash club.
on the strength of his tracks on this album, which I think are incredible, and also they complement Ogmios really well. So I think Singer Blues got some fantastic songs on Spotify.
Oh right.
I don't know if you've looked them up or anything, but they're more like reggae dub and roots reggae kind of thing. But Ogmios takes it in more of a hip hop direction, which I think works really, really well.
Yeah. I mean, Singer Blues on the majority of the tracks, and great work there. And Storm on the Sea, I think's fantastic. I mean, it kicks off with that almost nasally, like wow, kind of oscillating kind of beat there, and it just has that pulse moving forward. It has a uniqueness to it. We're not quite in that reverie that we are with the first track. Og's got a bit more blood, a bit more, almost 16-bit the inflections here. And what do you think of this track?
I think it's an incredible track. I think it's one of the strongest tracks on the album. I think it's not just a hip-hop track. It stands up as a really good song.
Yeah.
Fantastic chorus, great verse. I think the lyrics, it's got some comedy in it, like that we've seen through the other tracks as well.
Yeah, it kind of has a resonant quality definitely to it, and storm is on the sea. It just it's very an earworm for sure. I think there's a few hooks on this one, and we're going to get to Cutthroat Jake, which I think is probably goat hook on the album, but there's tons of good stuff here. Retrograde Punks get plucked by my pet plectrum. Davy Jones put you on his payroll, and throughout are these allusions to the nautical, to the anti-landlubbers, the sort of the switch on the beat there. And I like, there's a real sense of environment in this song as well. I love when the lightning and the weather kick in at the end.
Yeah, I think that it's really, the sea is obviously one of the key themes of the album, and as you say, it really creates an evocative picture of this storm, which is great. I love the line, I don't know, it's where he says, sounds like it's not afraid to switch up. It's okay, blood. It's not blood, it's ketchup.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's so funny, but it's really funny, that one.
Well, again, it's obvious, isn't it? It's the kind of the awareness of the scholar, the sort of knowingness, there's nothing too highfalutin here. And to go a bit too far with the music criticism here, the song has a kind of storm on the ocean quality. There's a lot going on. It can be quite overwhelming to a certain extent. He talks about like a consciousness on the ocean as kind of being a singular beat here, and it's like nothing else really. It's not like, okay, it's a verse and a hook sort of thing, but it just feels like there's a bit more going on than your standard hip hop track.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that sample's from. The when he understands that he's swimming.
No, yeah.
About his bit of consciousness, with no history, no future. But it's a great quote wherever it's come from.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'd love to just speak to Og really about, because I'm sure the guy's cultural knowledge is like all his rest of his knowledge outstanding. I bet he's really plucked this from some cool areas there, and I love this track as well. I think this track works really, really well. And King Slim, the next track, again, is kind of continuing that thematically. It's a bit more of a whispering.
None such as me evokes imagery. I be the King Slim Rizzler in a sea of sensei. Manifest infinite bliss for puff of fish. Stone tsunami slow down to a splish. Tidal waves blaze and don't even cause a ripple. Ripple whirlpool, sipping a favorite herbal tipple. In the riddle of a sea, I get 7 leagues deeper. In a throw made of coral with a gold tipped reefer. I summon relief for my subject stress. I really decree that they smoke best for less. Issuing minimum rates, so manta rays contemplate life in a higher state. Octopi, look at the by 8 apes. I burn it down hard in an oceanic haze. Mermaids coming round seeking out the green. Half Piscean, half marijuana queen.
From shore to shore, we smoke weed. Score by score, we scatter the seed. Praise the Lord. We are blessed because we breathe. There's no war, just love, just peaceful.
On the crest of a wave, I ride these white horses, looking for the highest grade from the...
Some of the imagery in this is absolutely fantastic. Where you have the sort of the backdrop of the you have that kind of the hum of it that I think is fantastic. But the infinite bliss of a pufferfish, stone tsunami stop to a splish.
To a splish.
Yes, splish. Yeah.
Splish. It's not a word you'd ever think to use. Splish.
No. And it's one of the most onomatopoeic words ever. Splish,
yeah, definitely. And it's one of those words that I just started repeating because I was thinking about the song yesterday. I started repeating that word over and over again. You know, when it just doesn't make sense anymore, you think, what is that word?
Yeah.
It's a good word.
It is, actually. And I learned a word recently that interests me. The word plash, which is a small splash. So similar to a splish, which is kind of all in that sort of area, splish, splash, and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, again, you sort of have the skulk of a kind of fuzzy bass in the background, sort of stabs there. And I mean, it's Ogmios kind of thinking, you know, okay, so in the kind of, you know, the world of the oceans, what natural sounds are there? And we have some beautiful whale song at the end.
Yeah. It's really random, that. And the first few times I listened to the album, I didn't even pick up on it. I just, you know, because it works so well, because the production and the mixing is so good that I didn't even notice that he's just got a collection of whale songs at the end.
Yeah.
But then the more you listen to it, you pick up on.
Yeah, and there's a lot of percussion as well in this song that kind of keeps it going as well, almost like a crashing of raves, if I really want to get sort of pretentious about that. But, you know, and what I like as well is what's inside is quite brief. I think it's just under 3 minutes, but Storm on the Sea and King Slim, they both push 5 minutes, but they're never boring. They're always quite entrancing.
No. And I think another thing obviously introduces one of the big themes on the album, which is weird. And it starts off, none such as me evoke imagery. I'll be the King Slim Rizzler on a sea of Sensi.
Yeah.
Which I think's a nice line, but then it almost romanticizes it. And he talks about, like, I reminisce with my Queen Mary Jane. Yeah. And that kind of thing. And I think it's just important to note, because we're going to move on to the next track shortly. And I think that's almost juxtaposed to this one.
Yeah, completely. And you know, a lot of this album, I don't mean in a negative way, because often people can construe this word as such, but it's quite dense. You know, it's kind of, you listen to it and it's not like, you know, always going to compare it now to, you know, C Major and Kruger, because we've done before, but say Lazy EP by Kruger, I don't know how much you've listened to that, but it's very much, you get what it's about on the first listen. You know, it's brilliant and it sticks with you, but it's very obvious what he's speaking about, sort of thing. Here, Ogmios is working in a lot of illusions here. He's working, there's almost a sense of, like, you know, you could be forgiven to think that, oh God, this guy's really high. Like, you know, he's talking about all this crazy stuff and nature stuff. But as you say, Hempseed, which is the fourth track, kind of, you know, he's focusing on his earlier years, you know, when he was a teenager and he was a pothead, basically, and, you know, his early 20s as well, and how he had to get away from that.
Far, far from perfect, but for you and for me, the only wonder.
Yeah, smoking weed was a part of my teens and a daily ritual in my early 20s. Some great times and amazing laughs, but for me that lifestyle wasn't made to last. I made a choice to keep my head clear, and now I look back, it's been 6 short years. Whatever little I've done, I would never.
And I love, I mean, we spoke about before, the idea of samples. I love this kind of old school, like, anti-drug PSA that he's got at the beginning.
Yeah.
I think it works really well.
So I actually think this is my least favourite track on the album.
Mm-hmm.
And I do love the irony of the whole anti-drug propaganda sort of things that he put in it. And he's got the Bill Hicks sample at the end, which is actually such a fantastic quote. Today, young man on acid. I was familiar with that one before I heard the album, and it was great to hear it. But I think that I've been trying to work out why I don't like this song, really. And I think there's 2 main reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one, I find it quite drab at the beginning when it's like, smoking weed was a part of my teens and a big daily ritual.
Yeah.
And I feel like, secondly, it's the album's quite abstract. Everything in the album's quite abstract, and then here he's just kind of writing. It feels more that he's just writing about himself.
Yeah.
More truth, and then I feel like it's odds with a lot of the other songs which romanticize weed and talk about, you know, reminiscing with my Queen Mary Jane, and a lot of the other tracks that talk about weed and just the positives, which I know is like a hip hop cliche to talk about weed and how great it is and all that. But yeah, I'm just not sure that it fits in as well with the rest of the album. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying there. I think it kind of, to continue the sort of ocean, it's kind of like the island in the middle, isn't it? Where it makes a bit more sense. You can kind of get your bearings to a certain extent. And it still allows for some really funny Ogmios-isms. I used to throw out seeds. Now I eat them every day for protein.
Yeah.
And, what I like as well, he's not being too sanctimonious. He says, if you can smoke...
I don't mean to preach.
Yeah, exactly. If you can smoke and achieve your dreams, then best of luck to you, sort of thing. And yeah, it's a bit more confessional, which you don't really expect from Ogmios. You don't really, even in his battles, really, you don't quite know who this guy is. Like, who, say, O'Shea is or whatever. It's not quite on the table. He's a PE teacher and he's a very intelligent guy. But, and that's his prerogative. I'm not saying I want to know more about him, but you don't really know much about him. But here, at least he's saying, when I was a bit younger, this was happening and it was affecting me to a certain extent. So I changed up my game, sort of thing. And it's almost elevating the music to a certain extent, as I say, because it's not just this kind of bliss-eyed stoner who's making this sort of stuff. It's clearly a guy who's genuinely inspired by the nature around him, rather than sort of being led on by the pull of intoxicants. So I think it works. And, as you say, we end with the Bill Hicks stuff. We end with the stone laughter. We had the whale song before, and now we just have the kind of, the red eye kind of chortling and stuff like that. But, Hempseed's decent. I prefer probably Magic Money Machine just because, again, the odd juxtaposition of Sherlock Holmes now into the album.
All dotted and scarred with innumerable puncture marks. Finally, he thrust the sharp point home, pressed down the tiny piston, and sank back into the velvet-lined armchair with a long sigh of satisfaction. Which is it today? Morphine or cocaine? It is cocaine. Would you care to try it? I sprang from my chair. He had lit his pipe again and was leaning back with drooping eyelids.
I'm the great-great-grandson of Sherlock Holmes. I'm steeped in this business, it's deep in my bones. I could solve theft, murder, treason, whatever crime happens to be in season. But times are hard for this private eye. I sit around the office and spark another pipe, lean back in my chair and send the smoke high, and analyze the vapors in my logical mind as I scan the papers.
Yeah, I think this is maybe my favourite track on the album. The Sherlock Holmes sample is incredible. I think that, I read a few Sherlock Holmes stories when I was a kid, and I think that this just takes you back to how good the writing is.
Yeah.
And not only that, I don't know where if he's recorded this himself with somebody knows or something, because I tried to find the actual audiobook that it was from, because I wanted to hear the whole audiobook, because the narrator is so well read.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find it, and the other audiobooks I found of it, they just weren't read aloud as well.
Yeah, and
they are in this sample that he's got.
Yeah, and the sample I should say, because I just found the full thing. I've actually found an article about Sherlock Holmes's drug use. So this is actually what gets sort of performed at the beginning of the thing is from
Sign of Four.
The Sign of Four, yeah. So, quote, this is from Conan Doyle himself. Sherlock Holmes took his bottle from the corner of the mantelpiece and his hypodermic syringe from its neat Morocco case. With his long, white, nervous fingers, he adjusted the delicate needle and rolled back his left shirt cuff. For some little time, his eyes rested thoughtfully upon the sinewy forearm and wrist all dotted and scarred with innumerable puncture marks, junkie. Finally, he thrust the sharp point home, pressed down the tiny piston, and sank back into the velvet-lined armchair with a long sigh of satisfaction. I mean, it's just kind of crazy in of itself that Sherlock Holmes used cocaine.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes this song so good. That, he's a great orator. Ogmios is a great storyteller. And I think this is the first track on the album that we hear him really tell a whole story in one song.
Yeah.
And, he's gone down that line of him being the ancestor of Sherlock Holmes, but times are hard. Basically, he is a junkie.
Yeah.
It's
kind of like him jacking like an ATM, isn't it?
Yeah. He robs this guy, Hugo Oberstein.
Right.
Which I'd not heard of, but I looked it up, and he's a character from a different Sherlock Holmes story, I think. And then they steal his cards and rob his money.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, and I guess Magic Money Machine as well. It's almost sounds like a Sherlock Holmes story, like
it does,
now, like and it's just the way this album goes in so many different directions here, and sonically it's it's consistent. It kind of works within it. The use of backing vocals on Ninja Assassin, the way that kind of gets done as well. The outro, the pulse and the whirring. Again, a kind of longer song here with. Ogmios just knows how to use these samples so masterfully, and yeah, I agree. It kind of got a bit of a boom bap slightly feel, doesn't it? The violins, like it's not too outward. It's not something Dots or Natural would demolish on, but it's still kind of there.
Yeah, and I think when the beat first drops in, at the end of the Sherlock Holmes quote, and he says, "Which is it today, morphine or cocaine?" And he goes, "Duh, duh. It is cocaine," and then the beat drops. I think that's amazing. That bit. That's probably the best moment on the album for me.
Yeah. No. I think that's fair. Yeah, this is another brilliant track. And again, Singer Blue, who is pretty consistent throughout the entire album, is there again. Probably the highlight for me is the next song, which is Cutthroat Jake.
Around the seas, give them piracy a bad name. We're professionals, we put him to shame.
Start work, nice bit of breaking entry and armed robbery.
Oh, I'm the bravest buckling.
I'm a balloon.
Cutthroat Jake comes nowhere near.
I'm a balloon.
When I'm around the green, you must.
I'm a balloon.
You won't see poor old Jake for us.
I'm a balloon.
So many souls up on these waves. Some so cutthroat, some so brave. Can't go back to my landlubber days. Sand and sea shall be my grave. I'm a buccaneer. I seen what I seen, there's nothing to fear. I'm a buccaneer. I've been where I've been, I'm still right here. I'm a buccaneer. With the morning's hangover, we raise a skull and bones. Hoist up the anchor and patrol our zones. Looking for a nice fat ship to rob, or a nice sea battle with a murderous mob. The cry goes up from the lad in the crow's nest.
Okay, the album is about the sea, you say it's about the ocean, but here we have Ogmios embracing his inner pirate. And we have the seagulls cawing, we have the money machine ringing up, him claiming he's the bravest buccaneer. And I don't know about you, but I get a certain, way Ogmios, he kind of has a bit of a groggy kind of, I don't want to say Jack Sparrow, but you know what I mean? That kind of dialect.
Yeah, he really picks up all the characters so well.
Yeah.
It's another one that it has a feel, it's quite nostalgic. It's like the storyline of a cartoon I would have watched when I was a kid. And, the characters are so strong that even though you're not watching a cartoon, you know what the judge looks like and the jury. Yeah. And because he does all the voices so well.
He does. It has that sort of pugwash feel, and it's the hook of so many souls are on these waves. Some cutthroat, some so brave. Like it's masterful. Really,
it really is.
The accordion in there, and there's talk of walking the plank, and it's just so imaginative, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, it really is, and he tells the complete story. It's actually quite like a good little story that he tells in such a short amount of time. About you hear about this notorious pirate at the beginning, and then then about there being no honor amongst thieves because he meets this pirate and then he hands him into the police for the reward. I think it's just a great story.
No, completely. And it's just, again, it's kind of, with the Sherlock stuff as well, it's kind of the sense of deprivation, the sense of desperation as well. This isn't just something that's kind of vaulting on high. There's I'm not going to say reality to it, but there's definitely a sense of depth there, in the subject matter. And this, again, just, I think, sonically, the instruments that he uses, the accordions, the horns, it's so different to what you'd normally hear, isn't it, on a standard rap album?
Yeah, and I think it's all produced by Ogmios and mixed by, is it Freedom? But the whole combinations and however they've got there, it's incredible. I think everything's fitted in, all these different sounds, as you say, and it all works so well together.
Yeah, it's just and just a subject, the more you speak about it, really, the more you kind of, I really want to impress upon people how impressed I am, but to listen to this as well, because I think the Last Picnic, I think if you just talk about the go-to battle rap releases, there's not that many people would point to, but I don't think Last Picnic could be the more obvious one. It's just not as well known as, say, a Lazy EP. Yeah,
and I think that when you'd look at the music, people would be expecting more the 10,000 Hours sort of hip hop album. Whereas obviously this is a bit of a tangent, as you'd expect from Ogmios.
Yeah. Yeah, naturally. I mean, it would just be weird to hear him talking about getting high on a beat, and it just be like, I assume it bores him, I assume he wants something a bit more interesting. And, again, the album takes a slight left turn with Lion's Den, which is kind of like a reggae, like, really big environment, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of, like, Rastafari themes. Another fantastic track from Singer Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Many are lost in this world of greed and capital schism. So we've got to get up from the dirt on a righteous mission. To free the people from their mental prisons. Will we meet again in the valley of decision? Hesitation in the lion's den. Oh no, holy meditation could be your friend. Holy meditation is good for the soul. Holy meditation is good for the soul.
I'm a shaman, meditate on my drum. Take this stick and dance in the sun. Burn sacraments of the oldest plants. Fly in the smoke in a holy trance. I solely chant, praise be for ancient words that saved me from agents of this daydream. Selling mental slavery to a lazy mind that can't think for itself. Don't take their medicine, it's bad for your health with stealth. I move around the system, recognize the illness from the symptoms. Don't get caught in other people's plans, cause where you tread might be sinking.
Yeah.
And I think it works a bit like a call and response between Ogmios and Singer Blue, the way you've got the chorus from Singer Blue, and then you've also got the whole, like, I'm a shaman, meditate to my drum, take the stick and dance into something from Ogmios. And it's kind of like a conversation between the two.
You said when we were speaking about this before we sort of our correspondence, you're not a fan of the lyrical sword line.
Yeah, I think that maybe that's something that's been ruined for me by watching battle rap. Yep. You hear the earth is pierced by my lyrical sword and just cringe a little bit.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it's something that he'd have written nowadays. I think that's something they'd write and think, no, I can't say that.
Yeah. And it's a bit more lax in a song, isn't it? Because it's not, the audience aren't listening to every single word per se and sort of critiquing it for meaning. But, again, maybe it's slightly tongue-in-cheek, maybe not. But yeah, lyrical sword especially is slightly garbled there, but yeah, I love hearing Ogmios on these sort of beats for sure, and again, this is idea of lost in this world of greed and the capital schism and just kind of the divide here, the sonic elements, and it's all just very convincing, isn't it? Like, it doesn't feel like anything's being put on. It feels very authentic in the album.
Yeah, he sounds so comfortable. He's in his element.
Yeah, and it's just he's I don't know how much he actually plays, but I know that he is quite a gifted musician himself, Ogmios.
Yeah, I think in a cypher or something. Oh no, it's in his battle with Harry Baker. I think that he just gets out like a little flute or something.
Yes,
and there's a solo. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really seriously talented guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh hell yeah. And like, I always, I thought this at the time when I had him on the show. I would love for him to have been my PE teacher. Like,
oh yeah.
I you know what I mean? Even as a teacher, even as like just a sort of adult, as a kid to have us round as like an authority figure. I just, I bet he's awesome. I bet the kids there are very, very lucky. And we get to our, Ogmios is always playing outside the fringes, but there's certain cliches. I don't know cliches, but there's certain tropes you need to work within. The posse track, to a certain extent, which we get in Salamander.
Petting fire from my fingertips when I spoke it. It vaporized when I wrote it. The paper fried when I smoked it. It tantalized, so I chose this Salamander life.
I see you walking through the fire, fire. I see you walking through the fire, fire. I see you walking through the fire, fire. I see you walking through the, I see you walking through the fire, fire.
sun rays to the soul, lead you a long tongue chain to your skull. Guide lost fox paving the roads to the cosmos caves and implodes. Black holes, from wise old men to young learneds, we fervently chant verses, one purpose. Loose circles, looping drum circuits, lucid wordsmiths. We shine like the sun's surface, work ethic, play hard ethos. Blaze up weak crops like Pete Tosh. Hit up the jam like a police cosh. Keep watch but see not, we clock weak spots and tap sources, swarming locusts. Strange forces, morbid omens, dark mystics form the opus. The last picnic storms approaching.
I see you walking through the fire, fire. I see you walking through the
I really like this track. It's got a line in it, the last picnic storm's approaching, which is another thing that just kind of ties up this idea. And the whole time you're thinking about what is this picnic.
Yeah.
It's almost quite sinister.
Yeah.
Like the end of Innocence or something, this happy picnic and it's ending. And that's why you get all these like childish themes coming in. And maybe I'm reading too much into that, I don't know, but that's how it comes across to me.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, yeah. And it's kind of a bit more ponderous, this track, at least at the beginning. A bit more of that dub essence, more motif-driven. Singer Blue again, we can't praise enough. But yeah, this is another great track. What you're getting here from Ogmios is songcraft more than anything. You're not getting sort of a rap god style exhibition, which is never what he's been about, of course. Even in his battles, it's kind of you're valuing the messages, the way he's attacking, and sort of thing like this. And again, this is just a great exhibition of his talents, this track.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
I think I started learning a bit about salamanders,
right,
which was really interesting. About how they're believed to be incombustible and that they're unharmed by flames.
Oh right, they are.
And apparently, the salamander brandy, a drink prepared by dunking live salamanders in fermenting fruit juices, is reputed to have hallucinogenic and aphrodisiac properties.
Holy shit! Okay.
Yes.
I can imagine Ogmios back in his Hempseed days, maybe a bit of that strange brew. But interesting. Okay, salamander. Yeah, now that you mention it, actually, something I remember, like often in like games I'd play as kids and stuff, like in Final Fantasy, the salamander would always be like a fire thing. It was be like kind of a sigil of that. So
they can regenerate lost limbs.
Yes, they can. Okay,
which is probably in Final Fantasy they were always regenerating.
Yes, they were always coming back in the random encounters there. Yeah, but shout out to the salamander. That is a slept on animal that Ogmios clearly values. And we end up with the final track, Rhyme Duple, which I mean, like, I really like the sort of almost Morse code in this. You know what I mean? The kind of bloopy landscape it has.
Yeah, I don't know if you know a track by Onra, the anthem.
I don't know.
Okay, the beginning really reminds me of that, and I'm always expecting the anthem to drop in. Yeah, really like this track. This is actually the track that on that video where the first rap battle that Ogmios does, where he holds up the album. I think the intro track, the adverts play this track on the official Don't Flop video, which I don't know if it's a track I would have chosen to promote the album.
That's awesome. Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I don't think that's the most obvious thing there. I think you maybe Cutthroat Jake, just because that is my favourite. But, there's lots of different ones on there. They're a bit more immediate, perhaps, sonically, than this one. Hempseed even, just because it's a bit more of a mainstream track on, this isn't really a mainstream album. But, yeah, not the best choice maybe, but again for me it's the music here that I really, really like. And I bet the Morse code means something as well, you know what I mean? I bet there's some sort of, maybe even if it just means the last picnic, but I bet there's something he's trying to get across.
Yeah, maybe
something about salamanders, maybe, I don't know. But he talks about MF Doom here as well in the track, Echoes of the Moon, the sense of the low hum. Like, what are your thoughts on this closer?
To me, it does fit really well in the album. There's a lot of meditative Buddhist vibes kind of thing in the song.
I am shoulders in. Master of a pad and pen, blasting off back to the planet of the eloquent mellow men. Ripe fruit and a sea blend, enough to see me right through to the weekend. I reassess and observe the potential, deep effects of these earth instrumentals. For the soul's expression of the sensual, scent of essential herbs and a pencil. I let the words do what they're meant to do, lead me to truth via abstract roots. I reach in my knapsack for my stack of tunes. MF Doom track echoes back off the moon. I rhyme Duplex cause it's rise double edge. I love where I'm going but I'll miss what I've left. A red sun setting on the finest hemp crops. A righteous woman and ciphers with them lot. Bosky, Freedom and Chango Flash. We clash heathens coming for the mango stash. Goldflesh season, sweet smell stunkified. Memories of Eden leave me tongue tied. I'm part man, part militant fruit fly, aiming for the flickering flame in the devil's eye. Kamikaze, this crazy life, flapping khaki wings into the blinding light.
Drink mercury, murder self personally. Time warp universe, never known certainty. Through satellite eyes I spy Virgo. Switch like the turncoats, alternate dimension. Black hole travel, one astral ascension. The magnetic moon dance, move half of heaven. Smoke me to your green and deep free fall. Thinking warp speed, talking peace to all people. I navigate space in my kayak. Negotiate routes with a group of moon triads. Return home for a cup of summer solstice. Alleviate the pain of the planet on my shoulders. Size the sun up, I'm drafting a battle plan. Psychopathic star killer, heart of Mark Chapman. Drift grappling with words as I slowly fall. It's back to earth now, alarms sound the early call. Shaking sleep off, yawn at the thundercloud. Wave away the galaxy, stars fade to nothing now. It's back to routines and mundane processes. Some paint or make tunes, escape the same old stresses. I do what I can till I'm back again. Battling Galacticus, attacking with a pad and pen. Recreate the Big Bang, back to basics. A rhyme duplex for those working late shifts.
Save all these souls lost in illusion. Through life after life after life. The jewel at the heart of the lotus. Words can show a way to illumination.
My lost tribe comes from a long line of song scribes, godlike. We cloud step across time and combine to one mind, then astral ascent. Open our third eyes and capture.
Ties the album up pretty well, I think.
Yeah, it does, and I mean that kind of ties us up as well to the end of The Last Picnic, which again I appreciate people listening to this. You probably haven't heard this, a lot of people listening. I'm sure you're all massive Ogmios fans, as you should be. He's one of the greatest ever, no doubt. Definitely one of my all-time favourites. But this is a seriously good collection, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, it's just a fantastic standalone album that you can really get into, and it has a constant feel to the whole album. And it's just a really great piece of music. Yeah.
It has a whole piece, I think, which maybe some other battle rap releases are a bit more kind of, verses on beats and not kind of put that sort of care and thought that someone like Ogmios, as kind of as wise as he is, would have done there. Are there any other battle rap releases you're a fan of musically?
I like Dots' EP.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
Especially the last track where he's got Blizzard and Tony D on it.
Oh, I've not heard that. I have to check that out.
Yeah, it's good. I know there's one line that stands out for me. I think Tony D. What is it he says? He says, I process thoughts at twice the speed of those used by Deep Blue.
Wow.
The chess computer
that Gary
Kasparov.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. That is quick.
Yeah, it just cracks me up that he's referencing a chess computer in his verse.
Yeah,
The guy is just incredible.
Oh yeah, Tony. His reference game, and but he knows like hard references, like a Deep Blue reference, kind of. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's and like I'm sure someone needs to do a Gary Kasparov bar. I'm trying to think of like Kasparov. I can't really think of how someone would bar that.
Something in there, isn't it?
There is. I actually, Bobby Fischer. I don't know if you know Bobby Fischer. He was like the American who took on all the Russians in the 60s. I'm pretty sure someone used a Bobby Fischer bar against Chess, the URL battler. I'm fucking maybe. Chess up on Bobby Fischer, something like that.
I think Ogmios has done a chess scheme or two.
Yes. He's a big chess guy. I know.
Yeah, he teaches chess, I think, as well, doesn't he?
This guy, man, he's just what a hero. I need to get Ogmios back on the show. Actually,
one of the things that interests me on the your interview with Ogmios. Was that he said that because obviously this album came before any of his rap battles.
Yeah.
And he said that for him, rap battling just honed his skills, his writing skills, and made him scrutinize every bar. So I'm excited to see what he comes out with next, to see what his new music is like, really.
Yeah, it's because actually I've seen Ogmios live briefly. When Copyright came over for that ill-fated Tenchu battle, Don't Flop did like a minor UK tour, and they did a slot in Oxford where I live at the Cellar, and he was playing and Dots was playing and Juan was playing as well. And I remember Og did quite a few, and he had sort of like some karate stuff, if I remember correctly, with a few other guys on stage. Yeah. The hook was sort of, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was some sort of like, some fighting moves or something. But he was dope as well. And I didn't know this music then, so maybe he played some of that live. But yeah, I'll be very excited to see what he's coming out of. And, with Don't Flop on its arse, maybe, Ogmios has only ever battled on Don't Flop, so maybe he can...
Has he?
I believe so, yeah. I think we mentioned that on our episode.
I can't believe he's never had a title shot.
It is ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
and then, Soul and C Major, although they're both fantastic, but, they didn't put the graft in like he's done.
I mean, I would love to see Soul Ogmios. That's one of my dream battles. Like, I don't know what would happen. It's because it's ice and water, isn't it? It's like, because Soul, for as intelligent he is, he's quite a furious, angry battler when he wants to be, but Ogmios can never really, he attacks in a very under the skin kind of way.
Yeah, I don't think aggression will work against Ogmios.
No.
I don't know if anyone's tried it before, but I just don't think that aggressive style is a way to win a battle.
There is, I mean, I'm on his...
Ogmios.
No, I agree. I'm on his verse tracker now, and yeah, he's never battled off Don't Flop. Jesus Christ, like, Ogmios, like, he had this run, which I would probably put from maybe Adam the Rapper till Lego, of about a year or so, of just like, how many battles was that? 7 battles. So we had Adam the Rapper, Most Prob, Matter, C Major, Real Deal, O'Shea, Lego, I guess QP as well. Fucking hell, man. That's one of the best runs ever in Don't Flop. Like, all of those battles are like classics.
And I just love to, because every battle that I don't think I've ever seen a bad battle where I've thought he wasn't any good, but I'd love to see how he stepped up for a title match, what he could bring.
Yeah. I think he's sort of, obviously he's top tier, no doubt. And I think, what's so good about the Don't Flop title matches, especially in terms of battle rap, is it brings the best out of people. Like, people really step up, really kind of treat it for what it is, which is a serious compliment, and a serious challenge as well. And, it's a shame. Maybe if Don't Flop was still going, maybe that, something would have went down at Sunburn or something. But obviously Shocks is the title holder now, not Soul. So, I mean, Shocks versus Ogmios, would that work?
I don't know. I feel like Ogmios, he could battle anyone.
Yeah.
Hasn't Ogmios battled in like Don't Let the Label You or something against that cheese guy or something?
Yeah, it was uploaded on Don't Flop though.
Was that Don't Flop?
I think it was a Don't Flop event. Maybe they did it in tandem.
Yeah, I think it might have been.
Yeah. And again, I'd love to see Ogmios go over to King of the Dot, but if he went over to like a World Dom or something, I just fear the crowds, they wouldn't respect him. I think.
Yeah, because he needs that quiet patience.
He needs the reverence. He
needs the initial respect for people to hear how good he is.
Yeah.
Because he plays on the perfect pauses.
Yeah.
Like the right amount of time, and if people don't give him that chance, I feel like his material could flop. Really.
He's just one of the most original figures ever in battle rap. Like, there is no one remotely like him.
I don't think anyone could get away with it.
Yeah.
Because if anyone tried this mystical stuff, you just look like an idiot. But he does it in such a playful, self-aware manner.
Yeah.
That he gets away with it, and he just pulls it off incredibly.
He does. Yeah, he does. I mean, clearly we love Ogmios. He's one of the very, very best, and I think he's the king of rewatchability as well. Like his battles are just endlessly, for me, enjoyable. I think the Most Prob performance and the C Major actually might be his best, but I don't know. There's so many. Debate in the comments below. What's the best Ogmios performance? What do you think of the last picnic? I'm sure some Battle Resume fans out there have heard it. Let us know. The Bandcamp link will be in the description. Pick up this album. Donate a bit of money to Ogmios. You can listen to it as well, get a taste of it. It's a fantastic release. Mike, what about yourself? Is there any projects that you've got? Any podcasts out there, or?
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm more of a listener, really.
Right. Any Twitter or anything to promote or?
No.
Well,
big up yourself, Tom, with the battle rap resume.
Thank you, man. It's been a pleasure, and I want to urge everyone again, check out Ogmios' releases, all his battles, all his music. Well, he's one bit of music out there as well. Obviously, support us as well. Subscribe at battlerapresume on the Twitter. We've got the Patreon, patreon.com/battlerapresume, Redbubble, iTunes, all that stuff. Mike, thanks so much, man. This has been great.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Thanks a lot.